It's an average day in the 20th century. Fast technological innovations means now we can store food for long with refrigerators, listen to the news on the radio, switch on the lights instead of using oil lamps, and even clean our homes with a vacuum. But none of these innovations would have been possible without the one that runs them all: electricity. Back in the 20th century, it wasn't feasible to generate your own electricity unless you were willing to build your own coal plant, add generators, fix cables, just to light your house. But it was feasible at large scale. So a few companies took the responsibility and started investing money to build these huge power plants to generate, procure, and manage electricity at large. And this kickstarted what was known as the golden age of electricity. And it was great, but there was a slight problem: competition. If 5 companies wanted to sell power in the same region, that would mean 5 power plants, 5 different transmission lines, and all of them trying to outcompete each other. So it was logical and cheaper for just one company to serve one region and not allow any other companies to compete there. And that's what happened. The government allowed only one company per region in return for being able to regulate the prices of electricity, which turned out great. Fast forward to today, we take electricity and these appliances for granted, and that's because we're so used to them and they're making our lives much simpler. But we're still using electricity to power them from power plants that were built decades ago when there was no alternative. Which means we can choose the clothes we wear, the tech we use, and even the government that runs our country, but one thing we can't choose is who's supplying us electricity. That's because we're stuck with the same idea of electricity that we initially started with: centralized production. Meaning electricity is generated in one place and then transmitted to all its consumers. But the problem with this is you're paying more than you should. In fact, you're paying far more for electricity today than you did 10 years ago. And that's not because electricity itself has gotten expensive or the technology got better, but instead it's because of completely unrelated factors like global politics, stock market, and currency exchange that are driving the prices of electricity up every year. So this begs the question: what is our way out of this problem? The answer lies in the beauty of solar technology and how we can finally achieve decentralized production, where instead of centralized generation source, everyone's generating their own electricity. But wait, if we can just generate electricity at home directly, why is the government focusing on large-scale projects like solar parks and solar farms? Here's Gagan Varmani, the founder and CEO of MySun, to explain why.
The fact that they continue to focus on large-scale projects helped reduce the cost of solar in the country to such low levels. I don't think this would have been possible. The prices would have been what they are today if we hadn't seen this kind of scale in the country.
So essentially we needed economies of scale to bring down this price of solar so we could use it at home. Therefore, at today's cost, you'll be able to cover your initial expenses within 4 to 6 years, and post which you'll have little to zero to pay for electricity. And since solar energy price is fixed and defined, your electricity bills won't ever increase over time. Compare this with buying a car on EMI. On average, the car would lose 60% of its value by the end of 5 years. But your solar panels have just recovered full capital cost, and for the next couple decades, they're going to be producing the most essential commodity you use and help you save money. Now, we can finally agree that solar technology is a great investment and has multiple benefits. So why do people still have a hard time understanding solar energy?
People don't want to understand it. They don't need to actually. Even if they want to, they don't need to get into the details of how the technology works. I mean, you can compare it with any other consumer product. People buying refrigerators or a TV, they don't really get into how a compressor works or how an LED tube works, right? So, that situation in solar has happened because we have been used to selling solar rather than understanding from a customer perspective what he really wants, right?
The truth is, solar is going to change the way everyone consumes energy and pave the way for the 21st century grid. And it's going to be modular, smart, and two ways, which means soon you'll be able to make money just by selling electricity to your neighbors. We've reached the stage where solar energy is the most feasible and smartest way to produce electricity, as we're advancing into an energy independent and cleaner future. The solar panels you install today will become the smartest investment you have ever made, and by the time people start to understand the true potential of solar energy, you would have already covered your costs. So what's stopping you from going solar?